CrunchBites back again. It's me and John Jones duoing it out this time. Our next question. Let me close all these messages that are covering it up. I think this actually was a question that John just came up with. It's about interview prep. You got an interview? Oh, what do you need to do? How to research the company you're applying for, etc. Blah blah blah. The end. No. If you're gonna go for an interview, obviously, okay, you're gonna apply to a place, right? You gotta know where you're applying. You can't just randomly throw these things out there and say, "I want a job here." Duh. You gotta know what you're getting into. By prepping, it's important to know where you're going, who you're gonna talk to. I know I've heard John say something about this before about like, possibly finding out names of who would be your lead. One thing that I think to simplify it, you really got to know what games they're doing. I mean, for some of you that might sound silly. You would say, "Hey, I know I want to work for company blank because they make this game I love." That's very common. Like, oh, I want to work on Halo, so you apply for the company that makes Halo. It's your favorite game. That kind of crap. So you know what you're getting into, but some people just randomly apply around or whatever. They just don't know what they're getting into. You need to research about the company. You need to know a few basic things. Especially it helps if you know somebody there. And you can get a little bit about culture of the company. Location, that's pretty important, right? I mean, it sounds even silly to say. Why would you not know that? But again, some people just randomly apply. I've been in that interviewee process where we've talked to a guy and we're like, and this was in the late '90s, but still, we said, "Hey, what kind of video games do you play?" And he brought up playing some obscure game on the Atari 2600 and knew nothing else about video games. And we're like, "All right, see ya, buddy." I mean, obviously, you don't have to be a big gamer to work somewhere, but if you just don't know anything about games, I think that kind of hurts you. What do you think, John?
Not knowing things about games is kind of bad. um, expect to be questioned about, what kind of games you like, what you played most recently, what you liked about them, what your favorite kind of games are, what you don't like about them, and what you can improve about them. That's the kind of thing that helps the interviewer get into your head a little bit and get a sense of what your tastes are, how you think, how you analyze things, and ways you naturally think of trying to improve something and putting yourself in the developer's mindset.
Just a quick toss in there. If you actually know their games and have played their games, that helps a lot, but don't be hypercritical. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, absolutely, yes. It's not necessary to play their games, but at least be familiar with them. At least read through the company's website. Be able to name at least a couple of their games. Play one if you can. Not necessary, but yeah, just try and know a little bit about the history of the company. But if they offer to tell you, and you already figure whatever, at least tell them a little bit about what you know, but give them an opening to explain about the company's history. Don't use it as a chance to show off. Just use it as a chance to say, like, yes, I read up a bit about this. I'd like to hear more. That kind of thing. Like, you're both feeling each other out. Look people up on LinkedIn, Moby Games. Something I do when researching people is just look on Facebook and see if anybody I know knows them in common. IMDb is another resource, different online forums. Just find out about the companies and people. When you're interviewing, always ask the names of the people you're going to be interviewing with and what their titles are. Just so you can, I tell them I like doing research on who I'm talking to. Learn at least one thing you can about each of them. What I do is I write down every person I'm interviewing with, what they do, like a couple notes, like, they worked here or they knew Bill such and such. And so I'll use those as, springboards to say, hey, you used to work with my buddy blah, blah, blah. And where your buddy blah, blah, blah is someone that you know or have worked with that can only say good things about you. And ideally should know that you're going to name drop them beforehand. But yes, that was a little meandering. But yeah, just Google shit, write shit down, make notes, write questions, and just act like you've looked at the company and thought about working there, instead of just randomly applying and going, "Oh, you did a thing for some place, give me money."
Fair enough. I when I worked at or I applied at Mythic, I never even played an MMO. I mean, I guess, but or I was going to work on an MMO, but still, it was the art style that excited me. I mean, I had worked in that sort of medieval fantasy kind of art that Warhammer has, and it was just so exciting just to be a part of the art. But then once I got there and started working on the game, I got so into the game and enjoyed it so much. I was one of those guys that was giving great feedback at over emails and at parties. There was one time, this doesn't have anything to do with interviews, so I'm not going to tell that.
Write it down for anecdotes for later.
Yeah, I feel like it's an anecdote I might have told before, but anyway, what do you think about attire for interviews? I think you should just dress like you do every day, but just clean yourself up a little bit. I mean, obviously, take a shower. Don't come in all. Don't be offensive in any way, just based on appearances. Like if you smell bad, people are going, "Oh, that guy fucking stinks. I gotta sit next to that." But you don't wear a suit.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I like business casual. I like to dress nice, but not like in a suit. Maybe a little collared shirt, whatever. Just look nice.
Yeah, I mean, like anybody can. You can walk out of a Target and spend maybe like $30 or $40 total, and have the shirt and pants you need, and they'll say $50, shirt, pants, and belt you need to look good in an interview. Like anybody can walk in and do that, I think.
Oh yeah, nice pair of jeans looks good.
Yeah.
Nice. You can get a nice shirt. Yeah, you said at Target, man. You go to clearance rack. You go to clearance rack at Kmart and get a nice shirt.
And this is like the bottom of the barrel baseline. I mean, yeah, just a nice collared shirt, clean clothes, shower. Something I think of weird contingencies. Something I'd suggest is get some, get like a little plastic bag and put deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste in it, and keep it in your glove box, or keep it in a book bag somewhere, just hidden away in case, like, oh shit, maybe I forgot that, or maybe I'm sweating too much, or oh my God, I got something in my teeth at lunch. What am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Just
floss.
for like stupid shit like that. Yeah, floss.
Yeah, a lot of interviews you do go to lunch, I've found, and don't order the soup or spaghetti because it splats all over.
Yeah, don't eat anything that like don't order ribs. It's extremely
Don't order
messy.
anything disgusting.
Yeah, I'll have the haggis stuffed with blood sausage.
Any kind of Indian food. As good as it is, it's going everywhere.
Before and after. But
yes.
Yeah, just try and eat something tidy that's going to make you look like a fucking retard when you eat it. Sorry, a fucking idiot when you eat it. But yeah, again, that's just sort of like funny French paranoia type stuff. But yeah, really, just just try and look good. Shave. Try and prove to them that you can present yourself as a normal-looking, clean human being for a few hours. That's really not that much to ask.
I mean, it's not a. This isn't a dealing with the public, dealing with the consumer kind of industry. But at the same time, it's all about selling yourself. And that's the whole point. You're selling yourself to an employer to say, is this the product you want kind of guy? Is this the guy that you want to work with? Is this somebody, this guy seems decent enough, the guy or girl, I guess. And they seem decent enough, nice enough. I could sit next to them in an office for 16 hours a day. Like we talked about crunching previously. You have to, one of the weird things that they can, it sounds weird, but they use company culture. That's a selling point, or a point that they can use to say, you wouldn't fit here. And they can take, and that's so broad that it could be anything. They could say, "No, you just don't fit company culture." And again, that could be anything. That's how they get out of any sort of sexist or racist issue.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like you can't. Yeah, in America, it's really, really difficult to say anything remotely honest about that kind of thing when it comes to hiring. Like you can't discriminate based on age, race, gender, religion, political leanings, personal beliefs. So like anything that differentiates anyone from anything outside of pure skill, you can't be discriminated against. Uh, Whereas in other countries, you're expected to give like your birthday, your gender, whether or not you're married. In Chinese countries, blood type is they believe you can derive personality. They think they can tell your personality from what your blood type is, and that's expected to go on a resume in many places, and even a headshot. Just well, depending on what country to which you're applying, do a little research and find out if they're going to need like cheek swabs, or if you should leave off your metal band headshot. It varies wildly. That wasn't very useful advice.
That's a little bit obscure, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it does make sense. It's crazy when you think about all the weird things that they can't hire or they'll refuse to hire or fire someone for. And like I said, a lot of laws, especially here in the states, there's a lot of state-based laws,
Yeah.
as well as just general countrywide stuff. But one thing I think that's good I think, and it's always helped me, is just showing enthusiasm. That helps a lot.
Yes.
You can't just be in there all like, no, I want to work here, doing stuff. And you gotta show that this is a project you're interested in and you're excited about. I think that helps. I mean, obviously, don't fake it. If you fake it, then that's even more obvious, and everybody hates you more.
Yes.
But yeah, enthusiasm is important.
Yeah. Just exactly. If you have trouble summoning it, just remember. I'm applying for a really cool job, working on cool stuff. What I do is cool, and I'm getting a free tour of a game company that I'm interested in, and I'm going to meet a lot of cool developers like me, and I'm going to get to learn some fun stuff. That's always been my attitude about interviews. Free field trip, and I get to meet cool people and learn things.
Oh,
Even if
absolutely.
I don't get the job, hey, that was cool.
If you're wise enough to be involved in some sort of community, such as like a polycount or something like that, where you actually know a lot of these guys, I love that. When they're like, oh, we want to fly you out, yay, free trip to somewhere I've never been, maybe. That's every time that's happened to me. I thought, I love it. That's great. And you get to meet, like I said, these guys that you probably already knew from, like I said, Polycount or wherever. That's the best part. You should be excited. It's like, hey, look at all these cool guys. Hey, yay, let's take pictures or some crap. But I've been on interviews that have been completely sour because I was on an interview one time at a company where one of the guys that was interviewed, it was like one of those stupid, grueling, all-day interviews, which is a waste of time for everybody. But one of the guys just sat in the corner like this. He didn't even say anything or do it. He was just like sitting there like and looking out the window while other guys talked to me. And I was like, at one point, I'm like, hey, why are you here, dude? And
Yeah.
you should be enthused. But, it's their job to. Like, they should be selling the company to you as well. On the other hand,
Absolutely.
if they're not selling the company to you, that should be a sign that you might not want to take it. Or if you end up like me, you just get mixed up with somebody else, and the person who was working HR got fired because they messed up.
Oh God, weren't they thought you were for something completely different. They're interviewing for something different, right?
Yeah, well, they mixed me up. It wasn't just me. I heard this later. This HR person apparently mixed up everyone that had this. They had this big hiring phase for this big project, and they mixed up everyone and ruined the whole thing. Yeah,
Wow.
they were fired, and a lot of people. What they ended up doing was hiring everyone they didn't want and not hiring the people they wanted. And I was on the list of we want you, and then they ended up getting some garbage and they had to fire a bunch of people because they sucked. Anyway, we're kind of reaching that mark. So what do you think? What do you got?
Um, my one last thing, just going off of what you said, they should be trying to sell the company to you and give you a reason to want to work there. I mean, like it's the interview goes both ways, but one of my beliefs is in that kind of situation, anybody you're talking to about working for, anyone that tries to make it seem like they're doing you a favor by paying you to work for them is an asshole, and that's going to be a bad place to work. And so far, I've never been wrong.
Fair enough. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up. This has been Chris Holden with John Jones on the Crunch Bites. Feel free to ask us questions, and we'll try to get to them. Thanks for listening.
Hey, hey, hey.